sure sound good to me. Oh, yes.
It's Fish, Grits, and Politics. And now, from the Breakfast Club, it's Marcus Davis.
What up, party people? Marcus Davis here, back with another hot episode of Fish, Grits, and Politics. Why is it hot? Because we're talking about L-O-V-E. I tried to come up with one of the E, but love. We're talking about love. You get what I'm saying. We're talking about black love. We're not talking about, get your groove on, get your... We're talking about how we as black people begin to love on each other even more. So we're going to dig a little deeper, and joining me to help do that, I've brought DeVon Franklin. We had a conversation with him, and we're going to hear some snippets of that conversation. Also, that crazy-ass comedian Marcus D. Wiley will be joining us, man on the streets. He's getting a word from the street about black love and bringing some sanity to the show. Professor Josie Pickens, and cooking up some goodness, already cooking, Chef Dee Dee from Cooking with a Twist. Also, some know him as the radio personality. Some know him as the host of The Cut Curator. But today he's Rob G., the General of Love. And blessing the mic one more time, the lyrical genius, Se7en The Poet. It's a lot to digest, but we're going to take it one bite at a time. So if you're ready, I'm ready, and they're ready, let's eat!
Fish, grits, and politics sure sound good to me. We can still break bread together even if you don't really agree. Oh, yes. So come on in and take a seat. Oh, yes. Sit back and grab something to eat. Oh, yes. Listen up, we got something to teach. My guess is gonna blow your mind. Fish, grits, and politics sure sound good to me. Fish, grits, and politics. Come on in, I'm sure you'll agree. Oh, yes.
Welcome back to Fish, Grits, and Politics. I'm Marcus Davis. I want to thank y'all for joining us. For those of you out there in Facebook land, if you like what we're serving, if you like what you're tasting, what we're dishing out, I want to invite you to share this with your friends. They might be a little hungry too, and you don't want to eat all of this by yourself. Question. Oh, make sure that they hashtag Fish, Grits, and Politics. Question. What does black love mean? I thought about this a lot over the last couple of days. And we brought in my man off the streets. We got him right off the streets. That's right, right off the street. Marcus D. Wiley to talk about it. Let's check out what he had to say.
Yo, what up? This comedian Marcus D. Wiley. When the question was posed to me, what is black love? I had to thank myself. When I think about black love, I think about good times, temporary layoffs, good time, easy credit. Anyway, you know the song. But listen, by me thinking about it, I wanted to ask some others. So I'm live at The Breakfast Club, trying to find out exactly what is black love.
Black love. Black love means a lot. It means everything. It means strength. It's enjoyment. It's family. All those things, and something you can't even describe all in one. It's beautiful. It's very beautiful to me. That's what it means to me.
It means a lot. It means affirmation of our culture, of our people. Especially in the face of a Eurocentric society that has not always affirmed us and has in fact undermined us a lot of times. It renews and affirms our beauty, our culture, and our communities. So for me, it's a wonderful thing.
Hey, what's black love?
Black love means to me to appreciate, honor, respect, and love your partner.
My definition of love is God. That's what it is to me.
Love is God.
It is.
So what is black God? No, I'm just playing, man.
What does black love mean to you?
Family.
Family.
Family, that's it.
That's it.
Blood makes us kin, but love and loyalty makes us family.
I think that black love is necessary, it's strength, it's unconditional, and it's my family and my friends.
I want to ask my brother from another mother, what does black love mean to you?
Well, to me, black love, I guess it means equality for all. That's the way I would say. We're all the same.
It's unconditional, it's strength, and it's knowing that at the end of the day, somebody understands you and how you live your life, how it feels to go through your life every day as a black person. That's what it means.
Well, there you have it. Some folk had some of the same answers. Some folk had some different ones. I guess it's all about perspective. Well, I learned. Matter of fact, what you learned? What does black love mean to you?
Welcome back. I told you the boy was crazy. Y'all pray for him. God ain't finished working with him yet. Please be patient with the brother. He hollering at people on the sanitation trucks outside. All right. Well, as you saw, we had a lot of different people that gave a lot of different explanations about what black love means to them. But here today, we've been joined by some great folks to talk about what it means to be in love with each other as black people. And I'm excited to be joined, as I said, bringing some sanity to the show by professor and journalist Josie Pickens. Welcome to Fish, Grits, and Politics.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
And you might know him as the radio personality. You might even know him as the host of the hot podcast, The Cut Curator. But today he's here in his other official capacity as the rising relationship expert. Give it up for the General Rob G. And the G stands for gonna get more loving going on. Like, for example, the G stands gonna get some more. So let's jump right into it. You heard all of the folks and what they described as a black love. I particularly like the last sister and how she eloquently talked about what black love means to her. Let's talk about what it means as black people to begin to recognize the need to love on one another even more. We'll start with you, Josie.
So, when I think about like my definition of black love, I always think of black love as being radical and revolutionary.
Wow.
Like when we look at historically where we have come from and all of the barriers that have been placed in the way of us just loving one another, having relationships, having families. It took a lot for us to even reach the place where we are. And those barriers still exist. So when I think about black love, I think about it in that aspect. And when we talk about like how we are going to make sure that we can move forward and become better lovers, because that's usually the language that I use. Like, how can we become better lovers to one another, right?
I like that language. Speak on it.
It is about understanding the historical context and the historical perspective of where we have come from and why we are kind of in the position that we are today. And then using that to make some decisions about how we're going to move forward. So it's a past, present, future conversation.
I think you hit it on the head when you said revolutionary.
Yeah.
And up until just now, I hadn't thought about that. That's why it's good to get with people smarter than you sometimes. Because when you think about the work of Nat Turner, that was revolutionary, it was love. When you think about the work of Harriet Tubman, that was revolutionary, but it was out of love. When you think about the works of Marcus and Malcolm and all of the others that laid down their lives or went into the fear or the threat of laying down their lives, that was all out of love. And so I get it, I'm
and
with
even
you.
thinking about the relationships so when we think about Martin Luther King Jr., for instance, the relationship that he had with Coretta, what she sacrificed every day sending her husband out into the world. We think about the relationships that, enslaved people attempted to have in building family, in building community, and having children, and having connection and partnership, how their love for someone might be used against them. You fall in love with a man or a woman and that person is sold away.
End up being
you know
used
what I mean?
as a threat, as a tool.
And so to continue loving through those types of hardships is really something very powerful and very radical, and we've been on it. We've been doing it. So I think that's the thing to remember.
I think if we've been doing it, we can keep doing it. We can do it smart.
And do it better.
The General, what say ye?
First of all, I want to say this is way more elaborate than I had even anticipated. I would have dressed up way more than this.
We knew the General was coming, so we got it right.
I thought it was gonna be a couple camera phones, and So I want to apologize to everybody. First of all,
we love you, brother.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Don't we love you? That
is. Love is sacrifice more than anything else, and it's doing when you don't want to do. that's to me what love represents, because you think about Jesus. Jesus sacrificed for us, and that was the ultimate form of love. So if you can sacrifice for your parent, or I'm sorry, for your spouse or your mate, even when you don't feel like it, but you're willing to do it because in the end that's something that they need as a benefit for them. My wife and I, when we first got married or when we first started dating, one of our things was our mantras was to make life easier for the other person. So what can I do to make it easier for you? If that means go and put some gas in your car, while you're in the shower, or she makes a meal for me, while I'm doing some work, something like that. Right. Whatever. What can I do to make life easy for you? And so it's taken away from you to give.
And I like that. And you can expand on that, because that doesn't just have to apply to your spouse or your girlfriend or your boyfriend, but that can apply to your neighbor.
Yeah.
So often we walk out of the door thinking, what can I do for myself? Right. Or what can others do for me? When clearly most of the faiths that people subscribe to, it talks about what can you do for your neighbor.
Right.
And I think if we're talking about how do we begin to learn to love one another even more, I think we can think about sacrifice. I think we can think about revolutionary. I think we can think about what does it mean to put others in the forefront.
Right.
Not necessarily head. Right. Not necessarily behind.
You can't do it to the detriment of yourself.
Right.
You can't do it where you're expending all the energy and it is draining you. But you can't give what you have to stay full. Right. Time, talent, treasure. Right.
Yeah, there it is. Black love. Hey, we got a lot to talk about on the show. We got a lot more to this conversation that we want to dig into. We got some vittles cooking over there. I talk about black love. I love black food. I love black women. I love my grandma, who put me in front of the kitchen table quite often and fed me so well. They ain't my grandma today, but we got Chef Dee Dee over there, and we're going to check in with her. Also, earlier I had a conversation with DeVon Franklin, author, speaker, producer. He got about 87 jobs. We had a good conversation about this topic of black love, and we're going to see clips of that. Question. I heard this earlier, and I wanted to pitch it to y'all. Is chivalry dead? Or no? Let's take a look. Let's take a listen.
I think chivalry is not just an act, it's an attitude.
Right.
So, and also what we have to realize is because so many women have experienced so much pain at the hands of men, we shouldn't be surprised that sometimes they may be a little resistant. They have to be, sometimes a man has to say, you know what, I'm gonna be chivalrous because that's what I want to do.
Right.
And I'm still gonna, even though she may not accept it yet, that's okay. I'll keep loving her.
Right.
I'll keep providing and trying to protect.
Keep doing it.
That's right.
Either way.
Absolutely, because that's what can ultimately heal someone who may have been still having some hurt that needs to get resolved.
Breakfast Club, America's best breakfast.
When it comes to protecting yourself and your partners, all the information out there can be overwhelming. Visit our website. We are a free and confidential service striving to help you stay informed and stay notified. We are committed to a healthy Houston.
And welcome back to Fish, Grits, and Politics. I'm Marcus Davis, your host, and I've been joined by Josie Pickens, professor and journalist, and also the general himself. We left off with a clip where we asked the question of the existence of chivalry. Right. And I'll tell you where it comes from. I'll tell you where the whole premise of the show comes from. You know, I'm on social media. I know y'all out there on social media, and I read a lot of stuff. I see a lot of stuff, and it causes me to think about a lot of things. So I'm on there one day, and a sister says, chivalry is dead. Big old letters. Y'all know the big post where you put the big letters up? Mm-hmm. Big old letter. Chivalry is dead. And when she said this, I was crushed because I thought, no, it's not. Now, here's why I was crushed. She said this after I had just left work. I was on my bike, and there was a sister driving down the side of the street. She had gotten out of her car because something was going on. I got off my bike. I didn't know this sister from Eve. Got off my bike, got down on my back. It could have been a setup. It could have been a hug. It could have been anything. Mm-hmm. But I saw the lady needed some help. Got off, got on my back, went under the car to try to figure out what I was doing because I don't know what I'm doing either.
You looking for the on-off switch, right?
Yeah, I'm looking for the on-off switch. What off switch? But I just wanted to deal in this discussion of the existence of chivalry, and if it doesn't exist, where did it go and how did it go away? We'll start with you, Josie.
Oh.
Come on, give it to us.
I don't think that it's dead.
Well, let's start with, is it important? Because it's one thing to have a conversation about it, only to discover whether it's not important or not.
Well, I think it depends on the people who are having that conversation. You know, times have changed a great deal, and people's ideas about dating and relationships have changed as well. And so I think it's about finding someone who has the same type of dating interest and is interested in those types of rituals as you are. You know, if you want to have chivalry and to have these types of expectations,
all right,
then
we're going to put the spotlight. We're going to put the spotlight. Is it important to you?
Is it important to me?
Is it important to you as
I
an
think
individual?
traditional ideas of chivalry, maybe not necessarily. Like, I don't necessarily need somebody to wash my car. The kind of support that I need is, hey, I know you have this event tonight. Is there anything that I can do to help make your day go smoother?
Got it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it just depends on the person. I don't think chivalry is dead. I think that people have to identify and define their own ideas about what chivalry is for them, and then look for that in the person that they want to date. And if a person doesn't possess those qualities, you can't make it happen.
And not just dating, just in general.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen ladies talk about they went to the post office, and when they walked up, they had 3 envelopes in their hand, 2 boxes, and the brother that was in front of them or behind them did not hold the door open. Rob G.
Oh, it's important to me. My son is 8 years old.
We got some we got some. There was some amens out there. Y'all give it up for the D.
My son is 8 years old, and my daughter is 4. So, you know, we're going through the part now of teaching him to let her go through the door first. Let her go through the door first. You stay in back. You walk on this side of the street, and when he doesn't, you know, I'm popping him upside the head or pulling his shirt back. And now it's got to the point so much. See, now my daughter expects it. She expects so. So when he doesn't do it, like when he rushes to the car or rushes to the door and he doesn't let her go first, she stomps her feet. Carter, what are you doing? Daddy, no, you're supposed to stand in the back. So you have to raise your daughters as well as your sons with the expectation that this is normal. And so I think we've gotten, abnormal has become normal. Yeah. And that's the part where it's gone wrong right there.
Okay, we're running short on this segment, but I got to extend it just a little bit more, right? I got to extend it a little bit. Denzel's movie. I can't remember the name of it. The one where he played the lawyer. Come on, help me. Yeah, no, the last one. All right, so here was a scene in there, right? There was a scene where he stood up, he gave a speech at a civil rights movement, right? And he gave a speech, and when he gave the speech, he noticed 2 young men that were sitting down and 2 women that were standing up. And he told them to get up and let the lady sit down.
Yeah.
And the round of applause is what was expected, but their response was, I don't need that. Matter of fact, they said that they were insulted by the very fact that he stopped his speech to give them attention. So when we asked the question, is chivalry dead? The question is, who killed it?
What? Who killed it?
Yeah.
I was gonna say divorce and dads not being in the home, mamas. Who's having a 36-year-old grandma, you know, and when you don't have a father there or a grandfather there, because, you know, I learned it from my father and my grandfather.
All of those things may be true, but what about, and this ain't me, so y'all make sure this is clear. Somebody has said, somebody back over there has said that I'm the independent woman.
And she can be independent.
I'm saying that was
Wait a minute now.
No, hey, it was them over there. I gave my disclaimer, right? But it space for conversation, space for dialogue, right? Josie and I have this understanding, but
This is us all the time.
Yeah. Is that a legitimate claim? Is that a legitimate suggestion even? That the idea that some men may have been deterred from the chivalry, from I got this, I'm on my own.
Can I take this, Josie?
No, you can't, because it's hers.
Okay.
And I'm not gonna let you be unchivalrous.
That's why I asked.
He did ask.
That's why I asked.
He did ask. I mean, I think it goes both ways. You know, like you were saying, it's an absence of that model.
Yeah.
And then there could be some discouragement that happens when a brother is trying to do the right thing and be chivalrous, and, you know, a sister is thinking, oh, you know. But then there also has to, when we have conversations about independent women, we have to think about, well, why does she feel like she needs to be independent?
Because you're not stepping up and you're not showing that you can handle the job. So that's why she feels like she's got to be independent, because you won't be there to take care of your part.
So we can't have an independent woman conversation without acknowledging that comes from a place. Like, no woman wants to be out here in front doing it on her own.
Fool.
Yeah.
All right. Please know, this is a search, this is a journey for understanding.
Yeah. Right.
And so I'm inviting everybody to make sure that you're open-minded and not casting judgment or any sentiments of ill, because we're on a learning journey.
Yes.
We designed this program to learn and understand and make space for understanding and expression. All right, there's another topic that I've heard.
Back there? People.
Yeah, somebody back there has said.
Not you.
Right, nowhere near.
Black men don't love black women anymore. Ooh. I had a conversation with DeVon about it. Let's see what he had to say about it.
I would say that beyond who a black man ends up with, I do agree with black women that we as black men have not effectively loved them at the level which we should. You know, when you look at our culture, when you look at sometimes what we celebrate in the culture, when you look at the music, when you look at some of the imagery, we sometimes promote an image that is the opposite of loving black women. So I understand how some black women can take a task with us and say, hey, you know, you all ain't loving us. The way you talk about us, the way you do us. So I think there is some legitimacy there, and I think it's up to us as men to do our best to correct that. Now, if a black man decides he's going to find love, and that love happens to be in a different shade, then, you know, that's ultimately between him and the person he ends up with. The same way if a black woman finds love and it's a different shade, that's between her and the man that she ends up with.
Yeah, that one was kind of deep there. Kind of went both ways. We'll talk about it. Welcome back to Fish, Grits, and Politics. I've got my main man, Rob, the General, Rob G. The G stands for Gonna Get More Loving. And and Professor Josie Pickens. All right, so let's talk about it. I've heard this sentiment expressed that black men don't love black women. Now, I like what DeVon said because he took it both ways, right? In one context, you can talk about racially. In the other context, you can talk about within the race, right? So, but part of this came from the cry from black women seeing black men with other ethnicities saying that they don't love us anymore. And I took issue with that. I'm a beautiful black man that loves beautiful black women. My wife is a beautiful black woman. My mama is a beautiful black woman. My two daughters are beautiful black women. I love black women dearly. And my colleagues, my circle of friends, you know, they are successful, well-doing men, and 99 point, we'll just stop at 99 because there's a .1 in there. So I feel that this sentiment comes from what we see perpetuated on television. So let's talk about the existence of, some people say it's not, some people say it's real. Dig in. Who wants first? I'm gonna let you go.
Ladies first.
Oh, I'm first?
Ladies first.
I absolutely do believe that black men still love, have always loved, will continue to love black women. Now, we might have some conversations about how that needs to happen, but the idea that, I mean, we wouldn't be here.
Right.
And we wouldn't continue to have a community and a race if it wasn't for that kind of love. So I think that's definitely the truth. I think you're right in the images that we see.
Right.
You know, we're seeing, you know,
the football player,
and the Kardashians,
the actor,
and
the rapper.
And I think it comes from a particularly hurtful place for black women because we are in an age now where women of everywhere want to have all of the body parts and looks of black women, right? They want to plump up the lips and plump everything up.
Because they love black women too.
But
right?
exactly.
Yes.
But so it's like we in the same way that people love black culture but not black people, black women feel that way. Or you love everything about us but not us.
Yeah.
But I don't think that that's necessarily.
I heard a saying that I'm gonna start using. It may be old, y'all, but they want our rhythm, but they don't want our blues.
They want our rhythm, but they don't want our blues. And I think that is something that definitely has some truth to it. But I think, you know, when I think about the men that I know in my life, and this is current today, I'm not talking about my father's generation.
Right.
I'm talking about men that I know. They love black women, they date black women, and partner with black women. I think it's much more rare to see the opposite of that. And statistics actually show that.
And that's what I was going. I was going on the stats. I was going on, you know, what I see in the real world, not just on TV world. And I just wanted to reiterate to black women, we love y'all to death. You know, I mean, I ain't lying. But Rob, I want you to deal with part of what DeVon said when he talked about some of the stuff that we do is not exemplifying love. How we rap about them, right? How we talk about them, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you spin.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I just want to say, you know, like I'm proudly married to a black woman as well, but I'm not gonna front. I have tasted the rainbow, and and a lot of my friends have tasted the rainbow too. But you know, we come back. You know, you come back, and I think it's because, you know, there was a time where you couldn't do that without fear of getting killed or murdered or maimed or whatever else like that. But, you know, for me at the end of the day, you know, my wife fit. You know, there's certain things you ain't got to explain to her. You know, we play the moving up the Good Times theme, and like she gonna understand.
She knows scratching and surviving.
Right. She gonna understand. Right. That, not saying the Korean don't know it, but if that Korean girl's like, what is this? You know. So,
but I think that goes back to what DeVon said, which was he took the approach that love has no color. That. You know, and that's something to be pondered. That's something to be thought about.
That's true. Know? I can see that, and but I most certainly think, like you said, our music doesn't represent the love of black women. It's getting increasingly
so we do love,
lacking.
We do love our women, but we got some work to do in terms of showing
the love.
Oh, love black women. Excuse me, Stan. I don't want to get jumped over for that. All right, we're gonna take a break. Because I smell some good stuff cooking. Chef Dee Dee got some greatness going on over there, some deliciousness. You hear it, you smell it, we about to taste it. And the lyrical genius, Se7en The Poet, is in the building. Y'all stay tuned.
When it comes to protecting yourself and your partners, all the information out there can be overwhelming. Visit our website. We are a free and confidential service striving to help you stay informed and stay notified. We are committed to a healthy Houston.
Welcome back to Fish, Grits, and Politics. Here to spit fire hotter than Dylon, and Dylon is none other than Se7en The Poet. Give it up.
Oh, since we talking about love, y'all gotta show me love. I love the love. And lately I've been feeling like love is in need of love. So much hate, I suffocate trying to breathe of love. I keep my hand on the plow, trying to sow seeds of love, hoping they blossom beautifully where the weeds once was, because I feel that love's in need of a love so much that for me to show love is imperative. So poetically, I profusely poured love into this narrative, informative, expose, persuasive, love-related poetry by which I hope you all are persuaded to love. Love intricately, love intimately, intuitively, all-inclusively. Extend your love to someone, love someone exclusively. Love to be affectionate, love to kiss, love to touch. Find someone that doesn't love themselves enough and love that person too much. To me, love is like oxygen. I simply cannot breathe without it. And I'm so madly in love with love that I'm happy to be mad about it, glad to be mad about it, emphatically ecstatic about it. And if you've ever experienced love, you know the love has a magic about it. Why, if I could measure love in time, I would seek to become timeless with the passing of every minute. And if I could swim in love, I would go so deep that it would be possible for me to drown in it. Because true love is not shallow. You have to get deep down in it. And submerge yourself in love large enough for the universe to spin around in it. I was told that love is blind, so sometimes I love blindly. Because if you love me at 10%, it's only right that I love you back at 90. Some days, you'll have to love me at 90 because I can only supply 10. But it's cool because you're my partner, my ace, my soulmate, my best friend. But then, make no mistake, love does take work. Every day won't be easy, there will be drama, but I'm talking about that 50-year anniversary love, like Pawpaw loved grandmama. See, that kind of love endures, and that kind of love matures, and that kind of love is unconditional, reciprocal, and reassures that love will save the day, and love will be your crutch. And if no one has told you today, let me be the first to say that I love you this much. Thank you.
When it comes to protecting yourself and your partners, all the information out there can be overwhelming. Visit our website. We are a free and confidential service striving to help you stay informed and stay notified. We are committed to a healthy Houston.
And welcome back to Fish, Grits, and Politics. This is probably my favorite part of the program because I get to get over here with this deliciousness that Chef Dee Dee is cooking up. Y'all give it up for Chef Dee Dee from Cooking with a Twist. So let's talk about it. What we got going on here today? What is all this deliciousness that I smell?
Okay, so I just made a homemade Alfredo sauce, just with some butter, cream cheese.
Stop.
Okay.
You said homemade.
Homemade.
You ain't do it out the jar.
No.
You ain't open it up. You ain't pour it out.
No.
Y'all get that?
No.
That's a sin. Y'all stop doing that.
Yeah, stop doing that. Because it's so much easier to make it homemade.
Yeah.
And
give us the steps.
Okay, so notice I didn't give you the measurements. So that means you have to sign up for one of our cooking classes so you can come and get it all together.
Cooking with a Twist.
So, like I said, butter, cream cheese, Parmesan Reggiano, regular Parmesan cheese, and then, of course, some little salt, pepper, garlic. Yeah. And then I just went ahead and
black love
go ahead and put some black love in there.
You know, we got to put a little extra, a little grandma in there.
That's right. So I just added some pre-cooked fettuccine pasta. And stir that up. And then
I'm going to stir that up.
Yeah, go ahead and stir that up.
Something over there sizzling.
Now, normally...
You do know I know how to do this a little bit.
I know you know how to do this a little bit.
Not a lot.
So normally when you think of fettuccine Alfredo, you think of chicken fettuccine Alfredo. Well, I kind of put a little twist to this one. We're going to do blackened salmon, okay? So the blackened salmon, I just, got some chili powder, some paprika, onion powder, salt, some garlic, put it over the salmon, put a little olive oil in here, and I'm pan searing it. And then I just cut up some onion, red bell pepper, We have some zucchini and squash, mushrooms, and we're just going to put that over the pasta when it's done. When this is done, we're going to top it off with the vegetables. And you have your meal. I'm also going to give you something else homemade.
We got a little salad here.
It's a Caesar salad,
Caesar salad.
We didn't buy the Caesar dressing.
You make the Caesar dressing?
We made the Caesar dressing homemade.
Baby, where my wife?
Your wife has taken one of my classes, so she knows.
I love Caesar dressing.
That's homemade. Once
I
you eat this, you will never eat another store-bought Caesar dressing.
That'll work.
And then I have some.
Hey, man.
Have some. They're good, huh? Yes. Okay.
Won't he do it?
And instead of
All right.
dessert, you're just gonna either the regular red velvet waffles or the banana nut red velvet waffles.
Man, you brought some red velvet waffles.
Award-winning red velvet waffles.
Award-winning red velvet waffles.
Yes.
She has won awards with it, and you also sell it.
We do. We sell it out of the Cooking with the Twist studio.
Yeah.
We have been invited to HEB, but we're still going through manufacturers. It's a hard product to manufacture, but we seem to do it very well.
That is.
But we do. So, yeah, we sell it like crazy.
How can people find you? How can they find Cooking with a Twist?
Cooking with a Twist,
Y'all want
Houston.com.
to get some of these classes? Y'all want to get some of these classes?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Cooking with a Twist, Houston.com. Chef Dee Dee, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
We gonna, they looking hungry up there. We're gonna get back up to them and get to our conversation, have a little fellowship. You know how I do. We did it at Big Mama House. We sit around the table. We'd have family dialogue over a little food. So that's what we're gonna do. We getting ready for the fellowship. Y'all stay tuned. Y'all hungry up there? Sarah, Josie, General. The G stands for gonna get some grub. We'll be right back with you. Breakfast Club, America's best breakfast.
When it comes to protecting yourself and your partners, all the information out there can be overwhelming. Visit our website. We are a free and confidential service striving to help you stay informed and stay notified. We are committed to a healthy Houston.
Welcome back to Fish, Grits, and Politics. I'm your host, Marcus Davis. I am excited about the favorite part of the show, which is the fellowship. This is a part where we sit around the table, eat some delicious grub that Chef Dee Dee has prepared for us, and we pick up on the conversation where we left off. We're talking about black love, how we already covered black men learning to love black women as queens. We talked about black women learning to see black men as the kings that they are. I want to dig into black people loving themselves as a people and how we become whole and healthier. Yeah, grateful for the food that has been prepared. I'm grateful for the friends and the family that have surrounded us. Grateful for the folks that have showed up to indulge in this conversation. Let's eat. All right, so let's jump into it. Sev, you hit it on the head, brother. You talked about loving deep. Learning to have the 90-10 and sometimes it being the 10-90. And I think we can apply that to our community as a whole. So let's dig into the discussion of how we as a black community begin to love ourselves more and show one another more love.
I mean, first off, I think we have to practice some level of a unified movement. We don't really have a plan. They are beginning to.
He said, that boy took one bite. I know.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just amazed how this is so tender. Go ahead, Sam. I'm sorry.
Love the salmon.
We are. They are beginning to market black rage. Like, it seems like they are purposely doing things to antagonize the black community because our rage is free promotion.
But even in that, we still have the responsibility of loving ourselves. So how do we recognize all of the weapons that are out there, the enemies that are out there, the tools that are being used? How do we graduate towards loving ourselves?
I think it's important to remember that we have to tell better stories to ourselves. Like, there are all types of stereotypes that black folk believe about black folk, right? And I think that the first thing that we have to do is just dispel that. Like, all black men, not all black men. Yeah, there's, all black women have bad attitudes. Well, no, not all black women. And then what if that bad attitude that you're thinking about is something else? Dig a little deeper, come from a more loving, compassionate place.
Maybe she just ain't having a good day.
Yeah, I mean, like we all do.
So you mentioned this idea of recognizing that we need to heal, recognizing that we need to be there for one another.
Be more compassionate.
Be more compassionate. But specifically, you talked about tell better stories to ourselves. And it's painful where I've seen and heard us perpetuate stories about ourselves that it's extremely painful.
Came from other folks.
I give you one phrase that I cringe at. We the only one. How do you know that? How do we know that? Do we really know that we're the only one? No. Right? I mean, is there statistical data that we are the only one that has ever done this or not done this?
Yeah.
You think about it.
Right.
I think one thing we got to start doing is telling the truth in our families. When your auntie is really your mom and your grandmama is really your mama. No, your grandmama is not your mom, but she's really your grandma.
Right.
And we got to start telling those truths because oftentimes families, we trying to protect ourselves from being looked at in a bad way. And so you tell these lies, and it's not till many years later when the person who started the lie are dead, and then you find out, like, wait a minute, this whole time you was my mom, and
all this brokenness,
and
you know what? That is saying that you've revealed something that you didn't know, and now with this new knowledge, you can do something different. I had this conversation with DeVon Franklin, author and speaker and producer, and let's take a clip. Let's see what he had to say about it.
That's one of the reasons why I wrote my book, The Truth About Men, and I talk about this, that every man struggles between love and lust. And this idea of love is, love of themselves, love of ourselves, love of God, love of the woman in our life, love of family, love of community. But one of the challenges with love is that we aren't taught how to do it. And as a result, we aren't necessarily taught how to receive love. So it's so important to practice being instead of doing. And what I mean by that, for a man to learn to love himself, first, he must like the person that looks back at him in the mirror. Yeah. 2, we must find the balance between understanding our value cannot be found in doing. Our value has to be found in being. We are already created whole. We are already created powerful. But as men, sometimes we feel like we need to do to become powerful. We need to do in order to find value and worth. One of the ways to love ourselves is to know that we love ourselves just by being. Being who God created us to be. Being the men who God created us to be. And then anything that we do should be an outgrowth of us feeling who we are and being And once we can kind of find that balance, that's when I think we'll really begin to love ourselves. I mean, it's something I struggled with, you know, as I was raised as a kid and teenager. I never really loved myself. It really wasn't until, you know, I got well into my adult years that I finally started to appreciate who God created me to be.
Sorry, I was chowing down. I was getting at it.
You didn't have anything else you just say like for like another 5 minutes?
Oh man, we had a whole long conversation. We're gonna you'll be able to see that in its entirety later. So, a couple of things that I took away from that was one, loving yourself by knowing yourself. There's a book that talks about that, right? Right. And then once you know who you are, be who you are. Chef Dee Dee.
And another thing that he said is having value, knowing your value, knowing your worth. A lot of women, they don't know their value. So when they don't know their value, then they do things that bring, for lack of better words, their stock down. We have to maintain our value because we're so selective when, we, look for or have the expectations of what our mate is supposed to be, but then how are we carrying ourselves? And how are we keeping our stock up? How are we looking when that mate does look and say, oh, maybe that is my wife, or maybe that is someone that I want to get to know. But then when he gets to know you, what is your story? How are you carrying yourself?
And I think the important part goes back to what he said is, you got to know yourself. You got to know who you are.
Self-love.
One of the principles of Kwanzaa is about self-knowledge. And when you know who you are, you begin to do more, you begin to love yourself more, and from the love of yourself, you begin to create more. All right, we got to dig a little deeper into self-love, right?
Yeah.
So, I got to touch on the subject. There's a book, y'all might have read this before, but it says, where your heart is, there lies your treasure.
Yeah, that's right.
Right?
That's right.
There is a statistic that the black dollar only stays in our community, whether you believe it or not, whether it's exaggerated or not, less than a day.
6 hours.
6 hours.
Yeah.
6 hours. Now you got to give with the Jewish community, it stays in theirs. I think it's 21 days.
Let's just say there are others that have
but they're on days.
On days.
And
we're
on
in
hours.
So the question is,
the only ones. And I'm on.
See that? The question is, do we really love ourselves as a community? I mean, that's if you believe what that book says. If our treasure can't be found there, do we love ourselves as a community?
But that's what goes back to what I said, initially. It comes to us having some kind of unified movement. What are we doing? How are we going to do it? It seems like as soon as we identify a game plan, let's talk about these recent protests. Are we not wearing
Facebook protests or real protests? Social media protests or actual protests?
But you know what?
I don't even know what a fake protest look like. I didn't.
Chef, you do. A fake protest is changing your Instagram profile picture. Like what they did? What? Man, let me change that. Put a filter on that. There, I did my part. I did my part. And it was like Marcus and I, we like to call it slacktivism.
Right.
So people practice. What's the least I can do to show that I'm aware, but not do a whole lot.
Clarity. He called it slacktivism. I joined him on that. I call it social media masturbation. Because you're on there just playing with yourself.
Weed, man.
I'm just saying, that's all you're doing. You're doing something to make you excited, and that's it.
Okay, so I'm from,
I took it down.
I'm from a small place. I'm from a small place in Texas called Sunnyside. And where I'm from, if that ain't, we keeping it real or keeping it 100. If you're not feeling it, then you don't have to do it. So my thing is, I didn't know it was fake protest because I don't fake protest. If I say I'm not doing it, I'm not doing it for real. If I say I ain't gonna really sign up for that.
I think part of Black Love includes allowing those people in their space to be who they are and what they're doing. I think a lot of the criticism that we go back and forth with keeps us distracted from actually putting work into action. And I get and hear what you're saying about unification. But I'll be frank with you. There's this myth that, in the 60s, everybody was on one page, and that's how we got passed.
That's not true.
Or in slavery, everybody was on page, and that's how we got.
No.
Didn't happen. You know, the best example I got, that was this one dude that found 12 people that agreed with him, and he went on to change the world. And I just suggest to people, if you really love your community and you want to show you love your community, find your circle, and you all commit to what you're going to commit to doing, and let the results speak for themselves.
And the other component about that is don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Right. You know, too often we get caught up in looking at, well, what's Kaepernick gonna do with this $60 million? You know, is it how much is he gonna put back in the black community? Well, what are you putting in the black community? You know, why are you worried about what he's doing?
You know, and go ahead, and we'll close.
And I think also, like, there are many ways that we can experience and practice activism. So it's not just going out and marching, or, like you said, doing social media posts. I mean, activism can be going to read at an elementary school.
Changing my filter is not doing anything? What is it?
You know, activism has many faces, and everybody can do that. So if you are not brave enough to, you know, be one of those people going out, putting your life on the line in that way, that doesn't mean that you don't have space to be an activist.
But I would encourage you to follow Josie's early example. If you love your community, you got to be prepared to sacrifice for it.
Yeah, no, that's
true.
love.
You know, you got to be prepared to sacrifice.
Well, I was prepared to sacrifice the other day, but it kind of went bad. I was leaving the neighborhood, and somebody just threw some trash out on the street, and I wanted to follow them and let them know, hey, you can't do that. But then I thought about it, road rage nowadays. Yeah. My activism was short.
Right. That was
I really thought that.
But it was in your heart.
It was in my heart.
All right, that's our time. You know, I want, you know, I think we can go back to, you know, this idea of love comes through sacrifice. I heard you say it, I heard you say it, and you said something like that. And I think, you know, when I'm asked a question about sacrifice, there's something that I remind people when they say, how much are we supposed to sacrifice? There were a group of people some 50 years ago that decided for 381 days that they would choose to walk to work instead of the convenience of the bus, because they loved themselves enough to demand respect as men and women, and they love future generations enough to cause them to get the respect that they deserve. And I think that's the direction we'll go to show ourselves love. Hey, y'all stay tuned for the last bite. Josie ain't eating her fish. I'm about to get her for it. I want to thank the lyrical genius, Se7en. I want to thank the host of The Cut curator, and the radio personality, and the rising relationship specialist, Rob G, and the G is standing for Gonna Get Seconds. And of course, we want to thank the same one in the room that brought some brilliance to us, Josie Pickens, professor and journalist. Thank you. And most important, the lady that brought us all this delicious, Chef Dee Dee, cooking with a twist. Y'all check her out. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back.
When it comes to protecting yourself and your partners, all the information out there can be overwhelming. Visit our website. We are a free and confidential service striving to help you stay informed and stay notified. We are committed to a healthy Houston.
Welcome back. It's been an absolutely fantastic show. I am excited about the conversation that we had about black love. I'm more excited about the conversations that you will continue with your friends, your family, and those that you share this with on social media, talking about black love. Hey, there's a picture that I want to put up that I want to share with you in the last bite. In this photo, you see part of the challenge of the communication between men and women. Women realizing that men are carrying the weight of the world on their backs while trying to hold her. Men having to realize that women are being attacked as they have been for centuries since we landed in this nation. It's not until we see each other's pain, not until we see each other's struggle, that we will see each other as the kings and the queens that we truly are. Thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us. Thanks Josie Pickens, Marcus D. Wiley, Se7en The Poet, DeVon Franklin, Chef Dee Dee, and our sponsors, Ron, Carter, Cadillac, and the Houston Health Department. We'll see you on the next episode of Fish, Grits, and Politics, where we're going to talk about the injustice in the prison system with Anthony Graves, who spent 18 years in prison, 12 of them on death row until he was exonerated. Peace.
Fish, grits, and politics sure sound good to me. We can still break bread together even if you don't really agree. Oh yes, so come on in and take a seat. Oh yes, sit back and grab something to eat. Oh yes, listen up, we got something to teach. Marcus is gonna blow your mind. Fish, grits,